I think that calls for a spot of celebratory lunch. Right over there, a nice bit of shade by those trees.
Sounds good to me.
What's the time?
There was no warning.
Zambia, one of the wildest countries in Africa, home to the spectacular Victoria Falls. They are fed by the mighty Zambezi River, which divides Zambia from Zimbabwe. It's here on one of the river's most isolated stretches that two friends have planned a weekend fishing trip. Arthur Taylor and Alistair Gallatley have known each other for over 25 years.
Our kids have grown up together with Alistair. Basically, Alistair's part of the family. He's a very good guy in a crisis and a very good friend.
We've known each other a while. We've spent a lot of time together.
Joining them are Arthur's English wife, Faye, and her parents, Clive and Brenda. They're retired teachers visiting from England.
Change your mind yet?
No, I think I'll just stay here and relax and read a book. Go on.
Okay, all aboard.
This is one of the river's most remote stretches.
The Zambezi is just a fantastic river. It's amazing, and it is so diverse.
Most of them are in herds or groups, and then you get the few odd single males. As long as you give them a wide berth, the chances are you're not going to have any problem.
Oh, I think I've got something here. Heavy. Oh.
Fishing had been pretty poor that morning, and when Mum caught a fish, it was like, yay, you know. I mean, she's really chuffed.
Well done, Mum.
I think that calls for a spot of celebratory lunch. Right over there, a nice bit of shade by those trees.
Sounds good to me.
What's the time?
There was no warning.
It's coming!
The Zambezi is famous for its unpredictable and deceptively strong currents. Many people drown in its eddies and whirlpools every year.
The one thing that I thought of was the fact that my children could have been with me and that I would have lost them because they would have been just thrown out of the boat.
The boat has become snagged in the middle of the river. Clive and Alistair are able to cling onto it while the current drags the others downstream.
Clive and I, we couldn't do much. We sat on the front of the boat and we watched them.
I had no idea where we were going. All I knew was that we were being swept away.
The current was really, really strong and it was just sweeping us down. We were trying to make our way to shallow waters. We knew it was our only hope of survival.
Luckily, the current actually took us towards the middle of the river, which was slightly shallower.
It's a sandbank!
From his position on the boat, Alistair assesses the situation. the group's chances of being rescued on this remote stretch of the river are slim. He knows that every year, hundreds of people die of crocodile attacks on the Zambezi. As the only single man in the group,
Arthur!
he takes a calculated risk.
I'm going to swim to that bank and get help! Don't risk it up!
I went under the water just to try to see where the croc was. As I started to go towards the croc, it came for me.
The savage attack has broken Alistair's arm in 3 places. His shoulder joint has been ripped from its socket.
I was pretty scared I was going into shock. I was very weak. I lost a lot of blood.
All he can do to stem the blood loss is to make a tourniquet. Clive is still stranded in the middle of the river. And now the boat is beginning to sink.
Can't stay there. He left us onto it.
Dad! You're gonna have to come over to us.
Righto.
My dad had no choice but to swim, because if the boat went down in the night, then he would just disappear. He wouldn't have stood a chance.
Brenda!
It was just such an awful experience to watch, and terrifying, not knowing at any moment.
Greg! Keep at it!
I can't tell you what a relief that was.
On shore, only a few hundred yards away, Alistair's agony is intensifying. His wound is becoming a poisonous time bomb.
I had nothing to wash it out with properly. The arm was full of rubbish.
Alistair knows that bacteria from the crocodile's bite will have entered his bloodstream. Untreated, he could easily lose his arm to gangrene.
Gangrene is pretty serious. A friend of mine, he got chewed by a lion. You know, he got to hospital within 8 hours, but he still lost his leg.
Too weak to move. If the gangrene doesn't get Alistair, the predators might.
We shouted across at him until the sun started going down. And then the hyenas started calling.
When the sun went down, we all decided not to call to Alistair. If he had called back to us, it would have just alerted any predator within range that Alistair was there.
Night is the most dangerous time in the African bush. Leopards, lions, and hyenas can detect the scent of blood from several miles away.
I could hear the lions calling and the hyenas, but when they stop, you don't know where they are, because you don't know if they come in your direction or going away. I thought I could be in for a tough night. I just got these stones together so that if something did come up that night, I could at least throw a rock at it.
When the daylight finally came, it was just such a sense of relief because we had made it through the night. That we had worried that Alistair had bled to death. I mean, we had no idea what had happened to him and how badly injured he was. That was such a terrible feeling because you always think of the worst. And physically and mentally, we were just exhausted.
After almost 20 hours stranded in the water, the group are desperate.
We were thinking, well, you know, it's another day and somebody has got to come.
On the river, his friends can do nothing but await their fate.
Canoes.
Amanda, just dance.
I can see them there. There.
Incredibly, some canoeists have ventured this far down the river.
They'd seen us and they thought, well, what strange people fishing in the middle of the river. I can't tell you how that felt, really. I mean, it was just a sense of relief. We were going to be all right. It was also still worry for Alistair. We hadn't heard from Alistair for several hours.
Eventually, the couple across the river spotted Alistair. They took him to safety, where he was reunited with the others. Despite his terrible injuries, surgeons were able to save Alistair's arm.